Hi everybody. In this example, we have a number of our different sales reps with their year-to-date numbers as far as the total number of customers they have at the year end, what they did in revenue or sales year end, and of course what they did in profits or profit year end. And we also can calculate out the ratio there. So that's an easy one right there. That we had in another video. I think it was the module 4. This was in there. So, but anyway, I filled it in for you anyway. So what we want to do though is be able to look at this data here and figure out who our top rep is when it comes to number of customers. All right, so which rep here had the most customers at the end of the year? Same thing, which rep had the highest dollar amount, all right, and which rep had the highest profit amount. Now understand a table like this, a worksheet table, however you want to look at this, the reason for the design of it is really, I think, more for a presentation, if anything. You're going to be showing this to your audience. It's a nice summarization of information. So it might not be something that you do all the time, but I think in those situations where you need to kind of show everybody kind of like the big picture of what's going on with your numbers, in this case with the reps, with their sales and profits and so forth, it's a good little table to set up. So we're going to have formulas in there to do those three things, and then the opposite. Who had the lowest amount of customers, who had the lowest dollar amount, in sales, and the same thing with profit. So we're going to do that as well. So to start out, what we'll do is we'll go over here to H2, and we're going to start out with the index function. So we hit equal, all right, and we'll type an IN. There's index, all right. And then the range that we're going to select initially is going to be from A2 to A15. So basically that is going to be our reps. That's initially how we'll end up getting the names filled in as far as the calculation end result. So we're going to select that range right there. Now eventually what we're going to do after we get done with this first formula is we're just going to copy the formula down to the other two rows and then just make some slight tweaks to it to just save us some time, okay? This particular range that we're referencing is going to be the same regardless if we're looking at top person or top rep in customers, top rep in sales, top rep in profit. It's going to be that same range. So we're going to go ahead and just hit the F4 key, and that way later on when we go to copy it down, that will stay locked into place. And then we'll put a comma in there. Now we're going to need to reference the customer column, the number of customers in this next part here. So we're going to go ahead and type in match or MA, and we'll just do an MA and you'll get match. We'll double click onto that. And then right after that, we're going to do MA to get max. And that will be getting the largest number out of that. So, and then of course max, the range that we want to select then is going to be from D2, all right, as far as or I meant to say B2. So from B2, which is going to be our number of customers here, right, we're going to select from there to there. Okay, and then once we get that selected, we're going to close off that range, close it with a parenthesis. Then we're going to put another comma in there, and now we're going to go and do our B2 through B15 again. So select it once more, just like that. And then we'll put a comma, a 0, and then 2 right parentheses to kind of balance it all off there. Now we hit the Enter key, and there we go. So we get Seguzi. So if we look at our numbers, as far as number of customers, and we look at Seguzi, 868, that does seem to be the largest number in that range. So that's pretty good. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to copy the formula down, and we'll just need to change the ranges when it comes to, well, instead of it being customer, it's going to be, or number of customers, it's going to be the sales range and the profit range. So that's all we're going to have to do there. So what we'll do first of all is we'll just kind of select, I should say, do a fill here, but we're going to start from the bottom right-hand corner and drag it all the way down here to profit, just like that. And there we go. Now those are wrong that are coming up there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click onto this first, or the next one down here, which is the dollars. Now in this case, what's happening is it's actually selecting or referencing this range here, right? And that's why dollars is coming up partially. If there's a lot of other mess going on here. But what we'll do here is we'll double click it, just like that. And what we need to do then is take this reference right here, that's also shifted down one as well, but we're going to kind of take this and drag it over and then drag it up. You see what I'm doing there? So let me just do that again. So I'm just kind of pointing right on the edge of this selection. I'll get my little crosshair. I just drag it over like this and bring it up to match, with the, with Adams and Buchanan and so forth. Let go. Then I'm going to take this range right here, which is the purple one, and drag that also over and then up right on top of it, just like that. That's all we need to really change there. So now what's happened is we've changed it from being B's to C's. And then for this next one, it'll be D's, right? Anyway, so we'll hit the Enter key. And there we go. So Ruger now is the second one, and that, if you look at it, looks right. Now for Walther, we'll double click that one, all right? And again, we're going to drag, and Walther, I mean profit-wise, but the reference there. And we're going to drag that one all the way over here to profits. There we go, right? And then the same thing with this one here. And there we go. Enter that in. Perfect. Now you'll notice that we've got these little green wedges up in the corner there of each of these. We're going to select that whole range. We're going to click onto the smart tag, right? And we're going to tell it that there is no error going on here. Okay, we're not leaving out anything. If things we're leaving things out, we're not. Everything's all perfect here. So we're just going to go down here and just say ignore error and be done with it. All right. So that is what we do for the top. All right. Now, the formulas are going to be the same for the bottom, or for the lows, for the customer number, the sales, and the profit. But we're also going to be looking at, pretty much, it's going to be pretty much the same ranges. But we're going to be doing the min function instead of the max function like you saw before. So in this area up here where you see the max, it's going to be min down here. So an easy time saver here, I think, would be just to kind of select this range here. All right. We'll do a right click and hit copy. Go over to here, right click it, and we will paste it right in there. All right. And we're going to get something all goofy looking, but that's okay. I'm just going to go and hit the escape key to get rid of everything there. And then I'm going to go ahead and work on this first one. So this one, obviously, all three of these are going to need to be kind of tweaked to kind of work the way they should. So I'm going to do the first one here with Ruger. I'm going to do a double click on that. All right. Now, we know for a fact that we need to keep this the same, and we need to reference those names, so that's good there. So for this first one, then, we're going to have to go ahead and take the red one, which is what you see here, and just kind of drag that back up to match up like that. And then the purple one, you'll get right on there and drag that one up. All right, and then we just need to change the MAX. We'll just double click that into MIN. All right, enter that in, and there we go. And there's Callahan, and that is correct. All right, we'll do the same thing with Ruger. We'll double click onto that. We leave that alone. We drag this one up, just like that. Drag this one up. Oh, Oh, I messed that one up. All right, so we'll go back in there again. You gotta be real careful with your mouse there. So I'll double click on Hendrix again, and I'll go about right there, drag that up, and then go over to the max, double click that, and just type in MIN. Enter that in, perfect. Ruger, or the low profit rep, we'll double click that one. And this one will drag, get that, make sure you get that crosshair up to there. Get the crosshair for here. And again, double click onto max, make that MIN, hit the enter key, and there we go. And of course, we'll go ahead and select that and tell it there are no errors. So we'll just ignore the errors. And there we go. And that makes for a pretty good looking, summarization at least of showing, who the reps were that were top, or who the reps were that were at the very bottom when it comes to number of customers they have, the sales, and also the profit. The only other thing that you might want to add here is to show the actual number of customers, the actual revenue, the actual profit that each of these had generated. I mean, obviously we can look across over here and line them up, but if we want to actually see it in our list here, it's a very simple, either using the max function up here or the min function down here. So we'll start out with the first one for Seguzi. We just do an equal on that one, all right? And then we go ahead and type in MA. There's your max, okay? And then all we need to do here is select the range of B2 through B15 here. So this range right here, we do that, enter it in, voila, all right? Now, again, to save time, we can go ahead and copy this down, go to Ruger, double click it. In this case then, this is going to be top in sales, so we're going to have to change this range to the sales one, right? Enter that in, perfect. Double click Jagger, or calculation there, and then we'll go ahead and change that one for the profit. We just kind of drag it like that. Enter it in. I mean, that's, oh, nope, I went too far. Hopefully it did better than $1. Double click it. Went a little too far there. Okay, so you just got to bring it back to profits. There we go. All right. So that works out good for that one. The other one would be just doing the lows. In this case, what are we going to do? We're going to do an equal MI. There's our min. We can just double click onto that one, right? And in this case, select that range, right? Enter that in. Perfect. So that would be the lowest in customers. So Callahan did the lowest in customers, and that was 438. Now again, we'll go ahead and copy that down. Double click Buchanan's low in sales. We need to change this range over to here. Enter that in. Double click this one here. Change that range just to there. Enter that in. So now we can see that. Now, of course, on each of these, we can just kind of, you can actually just select this whole range like that if you want. And then hit the tag, ignore error, and it takes care of all of them. So there you go. So that's a nice little summary that you can present to your audience. Has some good information in there. You might have, obviously, a lot more reps or some other kind of comparison that you're doing, but whatever it happens to be, this is a great way of kind of showing the summary. Again, too, this could also all be done using a pivot table. So be sure, as you're watching these videos, that you definitely get around to watching Module 8 of Excel, which is nothing but pivot tables, all right, and pivot charts and the like. So it's a good set of videos there as well. But this is good for those situations where you just want to have a nice little table, nice little summary of information over on the side, and not make it too fancy, but just enough to where people can understand what they're looking at. and kind of go from there. So hopefully this helps, and I appreciate you watching the videos. Thanks a lot.